A call to order this evening, the Planning and Zoning regular meeting for May 14th, 2025. A quorum is present. It is 6:36. This evening, we do have a presentation. We are starting with that. Commissioners, I think we were told by city staff on how we're going to do this presentation. Ms. Rachel?
Turn that on. There you go. Do me to repeat myself? Okay. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Rachel Shanks. I'm the developer of Okra Creek. It came through a few years ago as a 309 home subdivision with 4.1 acres along FM 973, adjacent to Shadow Glen and Monarch Ranch. I'm coming before you today doing a presentation because when I was asked by ownership to bring forth an SUP, I think I had the same thought as you guys do about gas stations and are they the best for the community? Is there enough growth to demand this? And through the research and the trip counts on TxDOT roads, FM 973, and all of the subdivisions through the neighborhood, I found that there was quite substantial demand and growth. As you guys know, on FM 973, there's the Chevron in front of Shadow Glen, and then Manor Market is currently being built by Compass Rose. If you were leaving Okra and heading to work going through 290, Chevron would be kind of considered your AM traffic. It's about 0.8 miles away. And then if you're coming home, Manor Market would be considered your PM. So based off of that, those demands are being met. But we look at the growth that's happening. The TxDOT figures of 18,000 trips per day was pulled from last year's numbers. And all of the growth happening in the area between Okra, which is currently under construction on phase 1 with 95 home sites, eventual build out of 309 homes. We have Monarch Ranch under construction. They're almost done with their phase 1. New Haven, Mustang Valley. There's quite a few home sites and subdivisions coming online and substantial growth happening to Manor. That's why I started to feel like a gas station was needed. I started doing research on, well, how many trips a day can a gas station handle? How many vehicles can they see? How many home sites can they see? Because I didn't want to bring something to you guys that was I just want a gas station because. I have spent a lot of time on Okra Creek making sure that it's a community that fits the needs and has like the parkland that you guys have wanted. And I wanted to make sure that my retail was similar. So a gas station can handle about 700 to 1,000 vehicles a day, or about 500 home sites. We have 2 on FM 973 with 18,000 cars being driven and 1,600 home sites coming online. I can see a need for an additional one to not overburden the ones that are currently planned and existing on FM 973. The great thing also about gas stations is we have 4.1 acres. Our detention is being handled by the subdivision, which means that we do not have to do a detention on the 4.1 acres, which we will get a larger retail pad sites with other conveniences and services for the residents along with a gas station. A lot of the feedback that I've been getting is that they want an anchor. And with these small pad sites, they view a gas station as an anchor that brings in traffic, that then they will want to come in with their retail component and their uses to help service the people of Manor. There's also quite a bit of commercial along FM 973 between Monarch and New Haven. Monarch has a continuous 11 acres that's connected to our 4.1. New Haven has about 2.5 acres. So looking at all of this, and looking at the gas stations that are here, the growth that's happening, it seems somewhat clear to me that there probably would be an additional gas station along some of this commercial, one helping anchoring it. And that's also why when I was designing Okra, I had it be contiguous with Monarchs so that we could have a really nice retail strip center. Okra is also the ones that are going to be widening FM 973. We're going to be adding a center turn lane, which we have started this week. We'll be adding a right-hand turn lane into our subdivision to help us to access the gas station or retail that is there. This will also put more traffic on FM 973 because right now it's very congested. People are avoiding not driving on it. We're widening, we're giving more convenience. So I think that trip count that we're seeing at 18,000 will probably go up substantially with the improvements that Okra Creek is making to FM 973. With the impact, of course, gas stations bring tax revenue, the retail sites bring tax revenue. Like I said previously, from what I'm seeing, gas stations are usually the anchor for what these small strip centers want to see. And that's what they've been asking for us to put in that and then have the strip center. And that would help kind of kick off the development of the 4.1 acres within Okra, but also the 11 acres of Monarch and the 2.5 acres of New Haven. So that's my conclusion. Again, was kind of with you guys, as I know as many P&Z and council members are, is not another gas station. But when I started diving in, realizing that there's really only two, and FM 973 is quite a large road and is supplying gas to all of the residents up and down, that there is a need, whether it's, this site or one in the future. I think that we will see one on FM 973. It's just kind of, up to you guys of, is it now or is it a later site in the future? And then I wanted to also point out all the renderings that we did throughout the PowerPoint were stuff based off our site, the architectural features that we want to do of just kind of a very high-end upscale. Perry and Coventry are our home builders. We want to make sure that our community is cohesive. And we also want to send a standard for the commercial along FM 973 to match us. So, thank you. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Rachel. I'm going to let the commissioner start, and then I'll finish it. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I have a question. About a half mile south of here is also going to be the HEB gas station, which I believe they're actually building right now. Is that incorporated into your analysis also?
I had that more of a 290 because just kind of getting it like 290 traffic of the gas stations, and that will be probably more heavily pulled from people driving on 290. I think it will help, but I live next to an HEB and I know that it is horrible to get in and out. So if I'm just trying to stop and get gas on my way to work, I do not go to HEB. I go to one of the gas stations along my route. So that's kind of how I was factoring it. Is it's difficult to maneuver unless you're going there for groceries.
What was your original vision for your retail space or for your commercial space on this track?
Through the planning process, I wanted to make sure that the depth was good. We have like 350 depth. I wanted to make sure we had plenty of parking. In terms of uses, I didn't really know. I think when I first started bringing Okra to you guys, it was 2022. There was the HEB, I don't think it had been rumored. And so there was a lot of like, I don't know what's going to dictate and is this commercial just going to sit here for a while? Because to be honest, without kind of HEB coming in, there really wasn't anybody interested. Now that there is an HEB coming in and that whole area is kind of blowing up, I'm seeing a lot more people interested on this type of commercial and then on Monarch and New Haven, but they're also asking, what's going to anchor this? What's going to help drive traffic? What's the road improvements? And so it's still early to them, which is why I felt like, one, I feel like we're close to a trigger point of a gas station, and then two, it's a help kick off kind of interest and start, bringing in services that you guys want to see in that whole retail area.
Would general retail sales, convenience or general retail sales, it's redundant, I know, would those be sufficient, do you think? Because those would not require an SUP necessarily. But you're saying that
the gas station or the SUP is just for the gas station.
I know, I'm asking, I guess, with your current zoning entitlements that you have, you would be able to go to market and say, hey, are you saying that it's difficult to find an anchor tenant without having a gasoline component?
Yes.
Okay.
We've been having a lot of discussions, because one, it's been, we want to make sure that we as Okra community is having a good, like, we don't want just any tenant coming in. And then two, there hasn't been, it's like, oh, we just want a building, or we can fill out a building, we can't fill out the whole space, and then do we just develop part of it? And then they're like, well, what is going to kind of drive people? So there's interest, but it's not been, oh, we're ready to sign up today and we can lease out a whole building and we can like really kick it off. It's still been very tentative, which is why internally we've been discussing, okay, what would anchor, what would kind of, where we could go under construction and not have vacancies, and where, you know, the building's just sitting empty and like, what was the point? Or we would have just waited and then not had done anything here for years. So that's kind of what we're juggling and trying to find a solution. And so through the research, this is kind of the direction that we went.
How many homes in the Monarch and Okra? How many homes?
So Okra is 309. It's a mixture of 50s and 60s. Monarch Ranch is, I think it's a little less than 400, but it's a mixture of 50 and 60 foot lots. And then New Haven, I don't remember what their mixture is, but they're 272. Mustang Valley, which is the KB community north of the high school, is 380. And then Palomino is the duplexes by D.R. Horton.
Like more than 1,000.
It's 1,600 with those. And honestly, I was just driving down, I think it was Tower, and I saw another duplex community, and I was like, oh, should have put that on my presentation.
It's an apartment complex,
Oh, there you go.
385 units.
So, yeah.
Will there, excuse me, will there be a signal light at that intersection?
There will not. So the signals are currently, there's one installed at Tinahara and then Greg Lane. So the spacing, we do not get a signal, but we are doing it's right turn lane into the site. And that's also why we did the center turn lane, one to help with just safety overall, but then also accessibility of our property.
So this is, if I remember correctly, this is right on the other side of Tower Lane, correct?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things is I'm one of those residents that live in behind Stonewater, so I do see that lovely light that they've put in, and now my fellow neighbors are starting to cross 973 and go straight so they can get to Greg Lane. I guess my question is, like you mentioned here a little while ago, everybody's avoiding 973. How is that gas station going to help if people are trying to avoid 973?
So the gas station doesn't help. The improvements that we are doing as a subdivision are helping. So adding the center turn lane from Tinahara to North Suncrest Loop and just kind of giving it to where people can actually turn into the commercial that's along that entire stretch of road will help anybody that's been kind of avoiding the area and driving through the communities to get around all of the traffic on that road.
So, and I'm assuming this is a turn lane both to Tower Lane and to your subdivision, is correct?
It's a center turn lane. So it's
Okay.
kind of the yellow on either
Right.
side. And so it'll run, it tapers right now at Tinahara. It tapers down and then it becomes 2 lanes again. That taper will go away and it'll just stay as a center turn lane either direction,
Right.
all the way to Tinahara or to North Suncrest.
And
And I
you-
call it North Suncrest because
Yeah.
it's the loop. So I'm just like the northern connection point. So
Yeah.
I,
So that's going to relieve those people sitting in that lane and going in the shoulder and driving all the way down 973 to
yes,
that light.
and we are also like widening the shoulders. I mean, mostly because it's a TxDOT new requirement, but I know like back in the day they used to just add lanes to the shoulder instead of like making a shoulder and then you're driving in the ditch. So not only are we doing the center turn lane, we're adding the shoulders and we're adding the right-hand turn lane into the subdivision.
And one of my last questions is Shadow Glen has that gas station and it does have residency next to it. I know there are some tenants in there, but have you looked into that? Like, you know, I don't think that gas station brings them, like the pizza place and the stuff that's there. I don't think that gas station is what's bringing it. My opinion is just like this Maynard Groceries down here. You're absolutely correct. If I could drive to that store and not have to go to HEB, yes, that would be wonderful. One of the things growing up in this community that they loved about Maynard Groceries was it was a similar grocery store. Could I drive to that store and not have to pay an arm and a leg for some bread or what you need? I think that would be an also option with that gas station that, we could put there. I think you're headed in the right direction because yes, there is growth. We know it's coming. We know it's getting closer. And yeah, I see that. But I also, like my other commissioners, would love to know those tenants that are coming. But I do understand it's still too early in the game to say, oh, this is what's coming. Everybody get excited and it doesn't come, and then we're back to square one.
Yes. We've had a lot of conversations, but I hate to like start and then you guys are like, where did that go? And I'm like,
Well, I thank you, Ms. Rachel. Commissioners, we have any other questions?
So are there any gas stations north of on 973 that's either planned or close to this site?
Not that I'm aware of. I think Maynard's like wastewater drops off at Mustang Valley, so there's nothing north of that. It would have been on septic, but I've driven that area quite a bit. There might be one planned that I'm not aware of, but there's nothing under construction or nothing existing until you get to Pflugerville or the Copeland area.
Michael, do we know anything that's coming that way?
To the north, no, but we do have the gas station that's currently under construction and then the Shadowglen gas station.
Yeah, because I drove to Huddle for a soccer game the other day, and I think there's one gas station right at Rice's Crossing, and there's not another one till you get to Taylor. And you have to drive into Taylor.
A lot of it's people don't like to put that type of stuff on septic anymore, and that just, again, Mustang Valley is kind of the end of y'all's septic, and then you have to wait till you get to Pflugerville. So,
Would you consider installing a fast charger station there?
we are.
Okay.
At least to have the conduits, because it's very easy just to go ahead and get it set up. And
Yeah.
then as the demand and, as our industry is changing with cars, of making sure that the gas station can too evolve with that and not just have gas.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner, if you have any more questions? All right, Ms. Rachel, thank you very
All right.
much.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving on. We are now moving to public comments, non-agenda public comments, white cards. Comments will be taken from the audience on non-agenda related topics for the length of time not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Agenda item public comments, yellow cards. Comments will be taken from the audience on non-agenda items combined for the length of time not to exceed 5 minutes total per person on all items, except for the public hearing comments. On public hearing items must be made when the item comes before the board, commission, committee, and not to exceed 2 minutes per person. Non-action or discussion may be taken by the board, commission, or committee during public comments on non-agenda items. To address the board, commission, or committee, please complete the white or yellow cards and present it to the city staff designated prior to the meeting. Commissioners, we do have one non-agenda public item. Ms. Tammy Phillips. Do you wish? Hold on, Ms. Phillips. You have to state your name and.
Hi, I'm Tammy Phillips. I live at 14515 Boys d'Arc Lane. I want to know, I wanted to know how many homes in the Monarch area can a gas station handle? How many vehicles can they see? How many I want to know why Peter Dwyer, a lobbyist, is using my address. That is a violation of my privacy. I don't know Maynard's rules, but I will look it up. I have no business on my land. I get these fake, like I own businesses. I have been shot at. 2 dogs have been shot. And 4-Star used to be oil royalties for me from my home in LaGrange, Texas. And I just want to know why somebody's using my address. Is that what y'all do in Maynard, Texas? Y'all just go into people's land and use their address? I want to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Commissioners, I also want to bring up, we do have an email that we received in our packets for you guys to read. All right, public hearing. Conduct a public hearing on a PUD amendment for Manor Heights subdivision being located on northeast of the intersection of US Highway 290 and Kimbrough Road, Maynard, Texas. We do have Daryl Swinson. Do you wish to speak, Mr. Swinson? Before you start, Mr. Darrell, can you state your name?
I'm Daryl Swenson. So on this map,
And just don't get too close, Mr. Swinson. It'll change on you.
okay. So the map that's presented here shows our property here as if nobody owns this floodplain right here. Our property line runs very near the creek, right here, and so we have most of this floodplain on our property. And there's a little note right here, proposed adjusted 100-year floodplain, and it shows a rerouting of the creek bed onto our property. Does anybody need permission to reroute the creek bed on our property? How is that even proposed without getting in contact with us?
Unfortunately, at this time, Mr. Swinson, we can't answer questions. We can just take the comment from you.
Okay. So will there be somebody from Kimley Horn that's going to answer? Okay, great. And then I just wanted to know then, can I address this gentleman here? Okay.
Address us and he'll hear you.
I just want to know, what does that mean to adjust the floodplain? Does it move the line of the floodplain farther onto our property, or is it I'd like that explained when the folks from Kimley Horn come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swinson. Mr. Michael.
So this item is a PUD amendment for Manor Heights, of course. It's an addition of 2 additional tracts of land, 2 phases for approximately 256 additional lots. They are the square pieces. So if you look at the dumbbell towards the top of the map, it's the 2 squares that are bubbled with a red cloud. The amendment of these tracts has already been contemplated in the DA and its sequential amendments. There's already been preparation made in terms of switching water service area from Manville to ours. That things have been in motion for this. It's just now the developer is pulling the trigger on making the adjustment.
Do we have any questions, commissioners? Can I get a motion?
I move we close the public hearing on item 1.
I have a motion from Commissioner Stetslin. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Commissioner Neela. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion. Conduct a public hearing on a septic use permit for a specific, specific use permit for an event center on 1 acre on 3.75 acres, more or less, being TCAD Zell number 248155 and being located at 14122 FM 1100 Maynard, Texas. We do have Marvin. Just state your name for us, sir, please.
Good evening. My name is Marvin Chacon, and I own this piece of lot next to this develop. I like to know because it's on the plans letter that I received. It's not very clear what kind of facilities are they building on this site.
Again, Mr. Chacon, we can't answer questions, but we can.
Well, is this plan approved? And if it is approved, what are they going to be developing next to this site? Because I own this lot over there, and there is, it's a 10-acre tract, and there is multiple restrictions on my tract. And I'd like to know what kind of facility are they building here? Is it a church, or is it some sort of event? According to the plan, it looks like some sort of a warehouse or some sort of a tall building.
Again, Mr. Chacon, all we can do is listen to your comment. We can't answer questions for you.
We'll take your questions into consideration. The regular hearing is when those things can be answered.
Okay, so
but we can't.
But the
answer
letter
them
was
now.
not very clear. You send a letter to this meeting for me to attend that this is being done, but there is nothing on this that it says what kind of facility is being developed.
Yes, sir, and that will be addressed in the regular item. We can only take your comment now, and in the regular item, we will address.
Oh, so you later on you're going to send a letter with more detail about this?
This meeting, we will discuss the topic in further detail, but for the public hearing, the commission cannot answer questions.
Okay.
So
What else? Go ahead.
Sorry, Chair. Item 5 is the business item for this item.
Okay.
If you would like, so there's an opportunity to speak in a public hearing and provide comments to the council or to the commission. And then we will also have further, then this will come up again for item 5, which is after the public hearing portion of this.
I understand that, but the reason that you're asking is that I came here because you sent me a letter of a building being developed, but there is no details of the building. So I cannot go in front of you and say, okay, I agree with it. I concur with the site being developed, or I don't agree with that because I don't know what's being built. And in my lot, there is a lot of restrictions that I have, even though it's not being developed yet.
what we're trying to inform you of is the plans for this item will be shared with item number 5 in this meeting. Nothing is approved. This is the consideration of the request.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Will be available to talk about different other topics at this meeting? Or it has to be one topic, specific topic at a time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mr. Michael.
Yes, this is a specific use permit for an event center for gatherings, parties, things of that nature. The applicant originally had the property rezoned last year, but there was a gap between that because no one realized that the actual specific use permit wasn't paid for. So they went ahead and paid it now. They're bringing the item through to essentially finish the process that they started. When they did their rezoning, they did make it clear that an event center was the intended use for the property. They've actually provided a much more detailed site plan for what they intend to do, and they are here to answer questions today based on what's presented.
All right. No, that was the last one. Commissioners, we have anything else? Can I get a motion to close?
I move we close the public hearing on item 3.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stetson. Do I have a second?
Pardon me. I'm so sorry. On item 2.
Two. Yes, sir.
I'll second.
I have a second by Commissioner Terry. All in favor? Raise your hand. Opposed? Moving on to consent agenda. All of the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by Planning and Zoning Commission and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussions on these items unless requested by the chairperson or a commission member, in which an event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separate. Consider discussion and possible action on to approve the minutes for the April 29th, 2025 Planning and Zoning regular session.
I believe it's April 9th. Not the 29th, the 9th.
I'm sorry.
You moved to approve the minutes for April 29th. It's the 9th.
Oh, I'm sorry. April 9th, 2025.
Minutes look correct to me. I move we approve the minutes from the April 9th.
I have a motion by Commissioner Terry. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Stetson. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Regular agenda. Consider discussion and possible action on a PUD amendment for the Manor Heights subdivision being located to the northeast of the intersection of U.S. Highway 290 and Old Kimbrough Road, Manor, Texas. Commissioners, we do have a presenter, Mr. Ethan.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Ethan Harwell. I'm a planner with Harwell. Yes, Ethan Harwell, planner with Kimley Horn and Associates. Just briefly, just want to share some about this PUD amendment with you this evening, then take any questions you may have. As Michael said, we're adding 2 tracks to the Manor Heights PUD that have really always intended to be added to the PUD. These tracks were accounted for in the initial planning for the subdivision with the original development agreement. Every subsequent amendment to the development agreement, there's been about 4 of those. And we have incorporated these tracks into our traffic studies and utility planning. So really, this is kind of a plug-and-play scenario. Today, the tracks are zoned ag, and have always been in the city limits, so we're really just asking to rezone them today. As a part of the PUD, same standards that we use in the rest of the subdivision will apply here, adding a bit of extra green space for those 256 lots that Michael mentioned, but really ready to go. So we're happy to answer any questions you may have. We'll connect with anyone here who has interest in that floodplain comment afterwards. I can't speak exactly to the floodplain questions, but we are certainly not pushing extra water onto our neighbors. What we're doing is really a developed conditions floodplain study. You know, the FEMA maps are very general, not very detailed. We're accounting for the developed condition of the property and really narrowing down exactly what that floodplain is going to look like. So that's what that line work on the PUD represents. I'm available for questions, as is Will Ginrich with 4-Star, who's here with me this evening.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions?
Can you explain why the parcel or why the phases change numbering from all previous documents? I went back and looked, and December 11th, or actually August 14th of last year, item 4 on that agenda before the Planning and Zoning Commission had a reference to phase 1, which is Manor Heights South, and then phases 2 through 6, which is the original portions of the Manor Heights PUD, including commercial as 6. Item 3 on the December 11th agenda of 2024 is when we discussed the zoning and the platting for Phase 6, which is the commercial component along Old Kimbrough and US 290. Item 4 on January 8th of 2025, that was discussing phases 4 and 5, which are now renumbered to being phases 3 and 4. And yeah, so I'm just a little confused as to how this got renumbered, and I guess are you still considering Manor Heights South as part of this overall pod, as a broader pod?
Yes, sir. I apologize. I don't have a very good answer to your question.
Okay, these are all Kimley Horn documents too.
Yes,
if you
sir.
want to reference them.
The team member who's responsible for those documents is actually out on maternity leave. So I apologize she can't be here today to answer that question for you. My assumption is we've had some just changes in which in order of phases that's caused us to renumber them, but we can certainly get you, I'd be happy to follow up and get you a better answer to that question.
I believe that city staff is currently working with you on the zoning or on the release of what was originally phase 5 on developing that portion and releasing the permits for that. I believe staff can possibly speak to that. So I'm trying to figure out why we would have now conflicting documents in our historical record going back to the mid-teens on this parcel. And if that can be rectified before we consider this.
If I may ask, are you talking about what
I'm
I can
talking
barely
about the
see, the
phasing
phase
on
5
there.
and
Yes.
phase 6 on the squares?
And then the pink
I-
section is now no longer a phase. It was phase 6.
That can very easily be corrected. It's just a matter of correctly labeling the document.
Can we correct it during the meeting tonight, or
We can make the
possibly?
Sir,
Trudy can
we'd be
correct
happy
me.
to make the corrections before the item goes to council.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Additionally, I see you have the MAD4 marked there on Liberty Bell Boulevard. That's the one that's adjacent to the eastern portion and going through the eastern portion of the northern parcel. Is that going to be fully improved to a 4-lane divided, or is that only planned to be a 2-lane as it is currently?
Actually, Pauline can speak
Pauline,
to
do you want to speak to this? I'm sorry. These are very easy questions.
I
Hi.
apologize.
Okay.
As I said, I'm covering for a colleague on maternity leave.
I see.
We are planning for the full build out of the road.
When? Hi, Pauline.
Hi, Pauline Gray, GBA City Engineer. We are working on an amendment to the development agreement, and that will basically require, by the time the last stuff, we're working on how it's going to schedule, but it will be a 4-lane road all the way through to the property boundary at this. Basically, by the time everything is done, we're still working on, when they're going to do it, but part of it is they will have to do it. So it's going to be 4 lanes all the way through.
Wouldn't it have been, I'm just asking just posthumously, wouldn't it have been an ideal situation to have had that fully improved before they were building in that section when phase 4 and those lots were released? Or do you want construction? Like, I'm trying to figure out what you'd want to have. I'm thinking from a perspective, in my professional life, Slaughter Lane was changed from they shared the 2-way from Vertex over toward on the eastern portion of what was the terminus of Slaughter Lane. And then the developer of Goodnight Ranch finished out that and made it an MAD4. There were some TCP issues and some markings that weren't put in place properly. We had several crashes in that area because people were used to using that original section as a non-divided section for a while. And so I'm trying to make sure that we're not creating a similar situation in the city of Manor where we can avoid things if they're able to do the engineering and kind of do the phasing rather than when phases 7 and 8 are finished.
Right. That has to go back to the development agreement in the original TIA.
Uh-huh.
A lot of those roadway expansions are based on
Triggered.
traffic counts.
Okay.
And so that's why we're working on the amendment right now to make sure that it does get constructed. The other issue is it'll go up through and then it'll just stop at the property boundary.
Yes.
Because, then the city would have to obtain right of way and some other stuff to tie into Bodar.
Yes.
But that is the eventual plan. If you look at the
FLUM shows that, and the
yeah.
master plan destination
Yeah, the
2050
master plan
shows that. Yes. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I have no other questions. Thank you.
Commissioners, we have any more questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Ethan. City staff, we have any more to add to this?
If there are no further questions, I will state that we will make the adjustment to the phasing before this is brought before council to ensure there are no discrepancies with official records.
Did Mr. Swenson's question get answered to his satisfaction, at least for tonight? Or do we know? Just making sure you were taken care of, sir.
Appreciate it. There is a police officer over there in the corner.
No violence. Nice and civil.
All right, commissioners. If that's no more questions, can I get a motion?
I move we close regular item number.
Yeah.
Yeah. We missed that. Thank you.
I move that we recommend approval of agenda item number, is it 1?
4.
4.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Terry. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Stetson. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to agenda item number 5, consider discussion and possible action on a specific use permit for an event center, 1 lot on 3.75 acres more. Yes. Oh. Oh, the corrections.
So this is a very
I move we reconsider item 4.
Second.
All right, I have a motion to reconsider by Commissioner Stetson, a second by Commissioner Terry. All in favor? Opposed? All right, now we can.
Okay. I move we approve item 4 on the regular agenda with a correction to the phasing map to match historical records on file with the city of Manor before presentation to council.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stetson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Terry. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, moving on to consent agenda, or regular agenda item, consider discussion and possible action on specific use permit for an event center, 1 lot on 3.75 acres, more or less being TCAD, parcel number 248155, and being located at 14122 FM 1100 Manor, Texas. We do have Ms. Rocio. She is here. She's the applicant. If we have any questions for her, I would go ahead and say you can come on up.
Chair Pies.
Yes, ma'am.
Before we take up this business item, I would move that we reconsider item 2 because the TCAD parcel on here is actually mistyped, I believe.
I was going to speak to that. So I've learned from my past mistakes. The TCAD parcel ID number is incorrect, but I have the valid address. That is the actual mailing address for it. So we are
the
free to
valid
proceed.
address in item 2 is okay.
We are free to proceed.
Okay.
Yes, I anticipated this. For the record, 14122 FM 1100 is the proper address for this item.
Okay, thank you. I withdraw my request to reconsider.
Thank you. All right. How are you doing, Ms. Velasquez? Just state your name.
Is it green light?
Now it is. Yes, my name is Rocio Velasquez. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is what our preliminary design looks like. We are looking
Pardon me.
to do.
We have a clicker so you can go through the presentation.
Okay. We are looking to do a modern design for an event center here in Maynard, Texas. We want to be part of the growth. We are a family-owned business, so it has taken us a little bit more than a big developer to develop plans and get our engineer and architect. This is kind of the entrance right here. We're going to be having a turnaround lane, so if they want to have like the VIP parking where you leave your car and they valet to it. From the entrance to where our site plan is being proposed, it's about 120 square feet. We are leaving more than enough space from our neighbors. I think you guys wanted at least 10 to 15 feet. We're leaving 30 and 28, I believe. This is going to be our concrete drive or asphalt. That's still kind of in the works to see what's more in a budget to us. We are going to have handicap accessible parking. That's a little bit of our rough draft for trees and plants and that we look forward to having. This is part of the layout that we have for inside. I'm sorry, it's so small. That we have for inside the venue. The venue itself is about 5,500 square feet, more or less. If it's 410 people, but this is kind of the layout that we have for if it was to fit so many people. That's how it would look like. This is our roof plan. We have different elevations just to have a more modern view to it. We want to do different sides to it. We want to do stucco. We want to do stone, metal railing. And I'm not sure if you guys have any questions for me.
Commissioners, do we have any questions?
What is your plan for the rear 3.5 acres of your lot?
Sorry?
What is your plan for the rear 3.5 acres of the lot? Is it just going to be vacant land or?
We are in phase one. I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna click. I don't know who's clicking. We are in phase one of what we would like to do. Maybe in the near future, if it's something that we can do, we would like to add maybe a chapel to the back since there's enough space for it. But we didn't do it on the plans because we don't have the budget for it now, but that's something that we might do at a later time.
No, sir. Unfortunately, we can't take comments from the audience. I'm sorry, you can't take comments from the Mr. Staff, Mr. Michael. Is there anything else to add?
So, per the ordinance provided in your backup, this area is already zoned for C2. The requirement of the specific use permit is to allow for an event center. There are certain stipulations that need to be met with that within our conditions of our zoning ordinance. This is a very detailed draft site plan, but I do want to make it known that the approval of this item is not the approval of that site plan. It's the approval of their ability to apply for the site plan. So they will still have to follow our regulations, our ordinances. They'll have to have that conversation with our engineers pertaining to what can and cannot be done specifically on the lot. This item is purely to allow them to attempt to achieve that.
Unfortunately, no. No. Unfortunately, comments can come from the audience. Commissioners, we have any more questions?
I will say this for the relief of the audience members, this item still does have to go to our city council. So if you have any further comments, concerns, or questions, those can also be addressed at that meeting. So unfortunately, we cannot take any more comments or questions now, but if there's anything else you would like to ask or add, that can be addressed in the city council meeting next week. Yes, sir.
All right, commissioners, if we don't have any more comments,
What was the total number of parking spaces you said you had again for the 410
We,
occupancy?
huh?
Yeah, what was the total number of spaces?
I believe our engineer was working. Those are the parking spaces in the front. I believe it was about 50 to 60.
Okay.
I would have to look through the plans to give you an exact number, but we have enough parking.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not inducing that. I'm just trying to figure out how you're going to fit 410 people
That's one of the
into
things
that
would be
area. Yeah.
part of my intrusion. That's one of the items that would be addressed with their site
Okay.
plan. If you don't have the adequate parking, adjustments would need to be made, or if the occupancy load is too high for the potential parking, adjustments are made.
And I'm trying to turn on maps for the first time because I don't have a map list showing the location of this, so I can figure out ingress and egress. This is okay. For everyone's knowledge, this is just south of Kimbrough Road West and north of Abrahamson Road.
Yes.
Okay. And this is a 2-lane undivided county highway or farm to market road 1100, correct? Okay.
That's correct.
do we have any more questions, commissioners? All right, can I obtain a motion for this agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve regular agenda item number 5.
I have a motion by Commissioner Meyer. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Neela. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on. Regular agenda item number 6, consider discussion and possible action on a final plat for phase 1 of New Haven subdivision, 114 lots on 32.5985 acres, more or less, and being generally located to the east of Foods Grove Road, to the north of Greg Lane, and to the west of FM 973 Maynard, Texas. We don't have nobody to speak, so city staff.
This is the final plat for phase 1 of the New Haven subdivision, just north of Greg Lane, south of the senior high school. It has been reviewed for compliance by engineering staff, and they are available for questions in the event that there's something that needs further clarification.
Commissioners, we have any questions?
I do want to note that the action item here on our agenda has it listed as planning and zoning as recommended approval. So there's already an X by that action item, just for your note. Yeah. For item 6, yeah, there's an X at the bottom of that, which we have not made that decision yet, but just for clarity's sake.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stetson. Any more questions? All right, can I get a motion?
I move we recommend approval, or no, pardon me. I recommend I'm so sorry. I move we approve item 6.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stetslin. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Commissioner Terry. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Can I get a motion to adjourn meeting planning and zoning at 7:31?
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Chavis. I second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Terry. All in favor? Opposed?
All right, so now we're off the record. So I was just wondering, I think it's a great idea, the event center, but on that 2-lane road, if you get potentially 200 cars going in and out at the same time, center turn lane, acceleration lane, for people going right. Yeah, it's just a little farther north. Yeah, that's. What are they going to do with the section in the back? They say that they don't have the funds and they develop it or not. But the good question is, where are you going to put all these cars? If ever there is an event, at least they get a parking lot, and they say that, you know what, there's an event that we move them